Yo my friends, welcome back to Frog Boy X1 Gaming and Tech Reviews. I'm Andrew, and today I wanted to talk about 5 reasons why it might be time to actually give AMD an opportunity with their new GPUs, 9060 XT or the 9070 XT. Both of those carry 16 gigs of VRAM, and they are absolutely incredible. So guys, I wanted to go over five reasons. As you know, I started PC gaming about 4 years ago. If you've been at the channel for a while, I think this is actually pretty close to my 4-year anniversary of starting PC gaming. And so I wanted to kind of lament over some of the experiences that I've had over this time, and kind of just go over my 5 favorite things for the AMD GPUs that I think you might not know, or you just didn't know even existed. So the first thing I want to talk about right now, where we're like fresh out the gate, is let's talk about driver stability. Okay, since I've started gaming on AMD GPUs, I have noticed that I started in the 7000 series, and as these drivers mature and they get better and better and better, the system feels a lot more stable overall. Like you have better stability most of the time. Now there are some fringe cases, and you will hear stories. Obviously, nothing is perfect out there, but it's not the war zone that everybody seems to think that AMD is going through. Yes, the drivers do come out a little bit slower, sometimes even kind of slow, but they've been good. And I feel like that is more important, especially in the longevity of PC gaming. Because I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, you're sitting there, you're playing games, and you want stability. That's the one thing we as gamers all want the most, is just that dang stability to play the games that we want to play. So I'm glad that AMD actually takes the time and focuses the time and the resources on getting it right, so that when they do upload these drivers, you get a good, solid, stable experience. And you know, they usually come packed with new features and stuff like that. And I've been quite impressed with the overall experience that I've gotten from the drivers from AMD. They're usually on point. They do pretty dang good. I don't usually have a whole lot of problem with the games that I'm playing. So I'm happy about that. That is one good thing that you can be rest assured that, like, look, AMD has good drivers. They might not get here right at the time a game launches, or they might not be, you know, sometimes they might take a little while longer, but they usually come out pretty dang good. And they also launch beta drivers in between. So if you're like wanting to play, like right now we're on a beta driver that just brought support for the newest games that just came out for Silent Hill F and stuff. So we do actually have support for those games, but sometimes you might have to take a chance and download the beta drivers. But even those have been pretty stable. I think there was one driver this whole generation, and that was like back when I was like reviewing the 9060 XT. I was having a little bit of issues with that for some reason, but nothing major, nothing game breaking, nothing. I was still able to 100% review the 9060 XT. And so I didn't have any problems with that. And that was a 100% like, hey, these are press drivers type deal. So it was like a one-time thing, and it was just on like a couple of games that I was having a little bit of issue, but nothing major. The second thing I want to talk about, FSR4 support. Okay, I know a lot of people try to downplay the offerings from both AMD and Intel when it comes to NVIDIA. And let's be real, I've been gaming for 40 years. I think I can tell good image quality versus not good image quality. And when I look at DLSS 4 versus FSR 4, I don't see, at a normal viewing distance, like from my face to the screen, I can't tell a massive difference. The AA is looking really good on both of them. There's clarity in the image. There's fine detail that both of them have been able to recover. Nothing's being stripped out anymore. It's like they're damn near identical. I know the experts are saying that NVIDIA still wins, and like I guess if you zoom in 1000%, that might be true. But from a normal viewing distance, looking at the pixels and not zooming in, I can't tell a difference. And I'm not just, it's really, FSR4 is really that good to where it's like, oh my gosh. And I think there's only like a couple of games that are actually using NVIDIA's new NIS for like Hogwarts Legacy and, gosh, I think it's Alan Wake 2, where it's actually got like the neural textures that look better. those are the only two games that like you can really tell a massive difference between DLSS 4 and FSR 4. There's only a couple of them. Like there's not really that many left, and as more of those come out, you know, we'll be able to look at those and stuff. But with most NVIDIA features, yes, they come out strong, but then they kind of taper off, and then it takes a while to get to them. I mean, like ray tracing. Like we're in the 7th year of freaking ray tracing, and like, what do we got to show for it? You know what I mean? Like, what do we got to show for it? It's just barely starting to get to a point where developers are like, okay, I guess we better add it now, because we finally have hardware that's capable of like doing good on AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. Like all three GPU manufacturers can actually do ray tracing now, and it's quite satisfying. And sometimes you still can't even really tell the difference, so it doesn't really matter. But FSR 4 absolutely looks beautiful. We do have the newest drivers, 25.9.1, that actually give you the ability, if you get into the Adrenaline software, you can just flip it on for any game that actually supports FSR 3.3 or 3.1 right now. As long as it supports 3.1 and it is built on the DirectX 12 platform, you should be able to enable it. I'm hearing reports from some people saying that it doesn't work, but for me it works just fine. I am on the 25.9.2 beta driver right now, so maybe that's why mine are working and maybe theirs aren't, because I'm actually seeing that. I always run whatever betas. I always do it just so that I can be on the cutting edge and seeing like, hey man, what's going on? So FSR 4 already there. And then later this year, when AMD brings out Redstone, they should be bringing that to FSR or RDNA 2 and 3, as well as other manufacturers' GPUs. So that's something to really look forward to and like be happy about with the overall experience. Like, I'm pretty excited about that. I love that. So the third thing on my list is the incredible Adrenaline software. Now this is pretty much the brains of your GPU driver. This is the thing that allows you to get in there to make quick changes, to record your gameplay, all kinds of stuff. And the Adrenaline software is so cohesive and it works so well that it's just like, wow, this is incredible, so incredible. In fact, that even NVIDIA has brought out their very own NVIDIA app, which does a lot of the stuff that the Adrenaline software does. And that is good for gaming. That is good to have that option, because what I can tell you about Adrenaline software, okay, from the moment I got the first AMD GPU and started playing around with that, you have these little freaking question mark things, okay, and you just hover over that and it explains pretty much in detail what each of these settings do. So I was able to get in there without watching any YouTube videos and figure out how to set up my AMD GPU to a point where I was like, gosh damn. Now, yes, the AMD experience is pretty plug and play. It feels closer to that console plug and play experience. To be completely honest with you, you don't really need to do anything. You can legit get into the AMD software, go over here to gaming. Right here where it says games, graphics, you just jump into the graphics tab, and then you have HyperRX, so you can turn that on. You can turn on a quality or HyperRX Eco, or just good old fashioned default, and then that will customize each experience for you. It will turn on features, you know, if you want HyperRX, it'll turn that on for you. Or if you want like quality, it will turn on the things that will give you a quality experience out of the gate. Anything that AMD drivers can do on a driver level, you know, it'll turn on stuff like AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2.1. That way you can at least have, you know, a little bit smoother experience if you want to play your games. It'll turn on things like FSR 4 and all the other supported features. Some games actually have dedicated, like, built-in, I would say they're like, you know, like the games went in and like optimized these features, you know, the HyperRX features. So if it has support for that game, or if a game has actual support for that, it'll set it up, and usually that works pretty good. Like, you could just jump right in there if you want that console experience. That's what these things are for. That's what like HyperRX and all these settings are for. You just click it. It's like a one-click solution. You click HyperRX, you're like, hey, I don't want to get in there and play with anything. I just want this setup straight out the gate. Whatever, you just get in there and you hit that. and boom, like it'll give you that kind of like console experience. It will turn on the things that need to be turned on. And then if games support certain features, it will automatically enable those and stuff. So that's a pretty cool feature. Like that's really nice to have. NVIDIA does have something similar in their thing. Now you just get in there and you hit the optimize button for the games or whatever. And then for better or worse, it'll optimize them however it thinks it's supposed to. I haven't done extensive testing on that, but it's hit or miss, to be completely honest with you. Whereas with AMD's features, it's kind of hit or miss sometimes too. Mainly with the AMD's Fluid Motion Frames 2.1. When you get in there, if you're getting like uncomfortable, like ghosting or pixelization, or not pixelization, but like artifacting and stuff like that, just go ahead and click that off. Usually you'll be all right. And then you can just enable some of the in-game settings and stuff to counteract the lower frame rate and stuff that you might be having that would make it possible for those artifacting things to show up. Usually that's just your frame rates, your base frame rate's too low for AMD's Fluid Motion Frames, but you can definitely have a lower frame rate for FSR 4 frame generation. You can go from about 40 up on that one. Whereas Fluid Motion Frames, you need about 60 to 70 frames for that to actually feel pretty good and give you a good experience. And you can stack those two features. You can stack in-game frame generation with Fluid Motion Frames 2.1, and believe it or not, it actually works even better. So that is another good thing about the AMD platform. And just the fact that like they usually try to support this stuff, because of the open source. You'll have options that are both, official from AMD, and then you'll have modding support. Like, look at all the amazing people out there right now putting OptiScaler together when the drivers were coming slow for being able to get FSR 4 into games. You got OptiScaler out there. You've got so many incredible things. Like, you've already got modders out there making it so you can enable FSR 4 on RDNA 2 and RDNA 3 GPUs. So yes, it's one of those things where, like, yes, AMD is slow to do things, but they kind of have this thing. They kind of tend to leak stuff out there so that other people can get their hands on it. And that's the nature of open source, is like they'll get their hands on it. AMD, all of them, it's like this big thing. They just work, they work together. And I love that about AMD, because at the end of the day, it adds longevity to your experience. And you might find yourself in a situation where you're like trying to play a game or something and you jump on there. Most people that want longevity out of their GPUs, I would recommend the AMD experience for that, because I feel like you'll be able to find stuff that will benefit you a lot farther into the future. Like, I found that pretty cool when I got that 68 W Pro or W6800 Pro. I was like, man, I want to try this. I never tried RDNA 2. I threw it in there. I had FSR 3 working. I had freaking frame generation. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool, man. If you bought that GPU, like the 6800 XT or something, you didn't have support for any of that stuff right then and there. You had like FSR 1. And now you're already to a point where you can use FSR 3, you can use frame generation, you can use all these features that you didn't even think that you would have had. A couple more things about AMD. So the recording features, okay? I see a lot of comments all the time like, gosh, Frog, your recordings look good. How do I do that? How do I get that? Well, with AMD software, it gives you the ability to like record. You can do it on NVIDIA's too, but for some reason, man, I just can't get the same quality out of the NVIDIA software that I can with AMD. I can record good footage. I get good color saturation. I get everything in my AMD recordings, and they come out nice. They come out clean. They come out like really. They still preserve all of that quality, and I'm like, wow. When I play it back and then I upload it on YouTube, and I look at the video quality of the upload from the AMD software versus the NVIDIA software, it's telling, man. Like, it is just a better quality. It is just better quality. Screen I don't know how to say that, preservation or it's able to preserve the quality significantly better, at least in my mind. So if you're a content creator and your whole thing is like recording footage of gameplay and then uploading it, cutting it up and doing things with it, AMD, in my opinion, is superior to what the NVIDIA thing offers. I would say you get capture card quality right from the AMD Relive software, whereas with NVIDIA, if you use a capture card, you can get better quality. That's just the way it appears to me. I feel like the AMD quality is just better, and I do get a lot of compliments from the AMD footage that say they like the quality of those videos, where I've never gotten anything from the NVIDIA ones. They're just like, yeah, nobody cares. So it's just another one of those things. And then the final thing about the AMD ecosystem right now, AMD GPUs, not only do they have better pricing to performance ratios most of the time. Right now, you're definitely seeing some AIB cards that are a lot more expensive, and I mean, like, it is what it is. But when you look at the ecosystem of what AMD has to offer, they power the PlayStation 5, they power the Xbox Series X, so therefore AMD RDNA GPUs are going to benefit from those platforms, from the games that are being built on those platforms. They're going to already benefit from that experience. It's like a family. It's like you go from a PlayStation 5 to a 9070 XT, and you have this, like, it's like a linear progression. It just, the more you get, the better your experience gets, and it's pretty cool. Like you notice that you can be playing on your Xbox Series X and then jump right over to your PC using smart delivery, and jump right in there, and you're like, wow, man! You go from that experience on Xbox to whoa, this is way freaking good on the PC experience, and it doesn't feel like this mind-boggling change or anything like that. It just seems like you went from your Xbox Series X to your Xbox Super Series X, and that is another thing that is just incredible about the AMD experience. Like, it feels tied tightly to the gaming experience. And that's just been my experience with it. And people are like, Frog, why do you like AMD? And it's not that NVIDIA is bad. I mean, NVIDIA is the best. I mean, they are the best. Like, there's no misunderstanding or anything about that. NVIDIA is the best. They command the market. They lead the market. They bring new features out faster. And they are the pioneers of bringing this stuff. And AMD is more of that, okay, well, NVIDIA is doing this. It's like NVIDIA is like that little, that coworker that's like really gung-ho and wants to get everything done, and they start all these projects and stuff, and they, they're working so fast, they're just doing all this stuff. And so everything's kind of chaotic and stuff, and they just keep moving forward, and they're like, don't have time to stop and like really put forth the effort to like really finish something off and bring it full scale. Well, AMD is that other coworker that actually has to finish all those projects. NVIDIA starts the projects, AMD has to finish them. And when AMD finishes them, because of the open source, they make it available for everybody. They don't just hold it to themselves and hoard it. They make it available on the earlier, think about it. NVIDIA comes out with their frame generation on the 40 series cards, and then AMD had to sit back and fix it all. And then when AMD brought it out with FSR 3, of course it worked on your 30 series cards that NVIDIA said it couldn't work. So that's what I see when I look at AMD. Everybody else sees that NVIDIA is just out there doing all this and AMD is just playing second fiddle and catching up. You're right. They're fixing all the stuff that NVIDIA is putting out there, which is cool. I mean, you kind of need that. Like, NVIDIA puts all these features out and then forces you to buy new hardware as they keep going along, because that's their business model. Is that bad? Absolutely not. If you want to be on the bleeding freaking edge, get NVIDIA, and be prepared to upgrade every generation. I'm not saying that you can't make your GPUs last longer. I'm just saying that if you're buying into that ecosystem, you're buying into that because you want those features and you want the edge, the bleeding edge right then. So that's the way I look at NVIDIA, okay? Like, I do. When it comes to AMD, I look at that more wholesome, like, hey, this is the long run. Like, we're buying this 6800 XT And we're playing it well into the future, because if you look at that, 7 years, is it 7 years now? It's about 7 years for those GPUs, 7 years. So you look at them GPUs now, 7 years later, 6 years, 5 or 6 years later, or whatever, however long it's been. You look at them now and you're still playing games like Oblivion Remastered on that using frame generation and FSR3. It works perfectly. It works fabulously. It looks good. It's playing great. You get the frame generation, like all of the features that you didn't even know you were going to have, you're getting, and you still have longevity with that GPU. So those are the 5 reasons that I think AMD is worth a shot right now. You might not agree with me. You might not, but there might be that seed planted that you think that, hey, maybe now is the time to take a look at AMD. I can't guarantee everybody's going to be happy, but I guarantee that it's a good enough experience that it will open your eyes. That it will open your eyes, and you will be wiser and smarter and better off because of that, because then you'll be like, okay, look, now I truly know what NVIDIA is worth. Now I truly know what AMD is worth, and you'll have that, and you'll be armed with the best. Like you don't have to try to cut through who's trying to sell you what. You will have everything you need to make the decisions going forward for your gaming. So, all right, my friends, if you guys like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. And if you are thinking about AMD and you don't want to blow a whole lot of money, I would recommend the 9060 XT. That is probably one of my favorite GPUs this generation. If you're on it, like, it doesn't matter what you're on. And I kind of do encourage you to get a GPU that's under the level of what you already have if you're going to switch over to AMD. That way it'll protect your NVIDIA investment, like you're protected, but then you get to see just how incredible AMD actually really is. And I think you'll be satisfied. Like I think you'll be surprised, just like I was when I started AMD gaming, and like literally for the first while I was like, what the freak are these guys talking about? This shit's awesome. So, all right, guys, I hope that this video helps you. I hope that it helps you cut through all the noise. I don't think AMD's perfect. I don't think NVIDIA is perfect, but now it's probably the time to try some AMD, man. I think it's awesome. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.